Hey guys, this is Jolene from Smith's Nature Friendly Farms. We are hanging out in the garden today and we are going to get started on our single seed challenge. Alright guys, Stella and I are here getting ready to plant our single seed. And you guys, if you watched the other video, you know that you guys got the opportunity to tell me which seed that we would be planting. So you guys have spoken through here and through our Facebook group that you wanted to see me plant the Yellow Crunch watermelon. So this one, for those of you that maybe haven't seen the video, it is one that I have saved the seeds from and I can't find it anywhere. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but I haven't been able to find it. So I want to make sure I hang on to the seed because it is a yummy, yummy yellow watermelon. It was one of the best watermelons I've ever had. So I'm going to plant this one seed and baby it like crazy as per the single seed challenge. If you guys haven't watched the video on the single seed challenge, I'd check it out to get more details. And if you are a gardener, you don't have to be a YouTuber by any means, but I recommend the challenge. I think it's a great idea. We often don't sit down and focus on one plant. We toss a lot of seeds around and hope stuff comes up, at least I do anyways. So this is a challenge for me that will actually make me focus on one plant to fruition. So let's get started. Let's start the planting. I'll show you what I'm going to be doing to baby this plant. So one of the first things that we did was break out the garden guide. So we have this grower's guide that I'm slowly making over time that basically highlights specific produce or fruit and their key success steps for growing. So every fruit and vegetable kind of has its own tricks to it. Some of them are very similar, like if they're in the tomato family, the peppers and the potatoes can all be very similar, but lots of them have very unique things overall that they like or prefer. You know, carrots, for example, need really consistent watering in order to germinate, or tomatoes like high nitrogen at first and then they want it lower later when they start to flower. So what I'm doing is I'm building a binder and I use these plastic sheets so that I can take it outside and they can get water and dirt on them and they can be wiped off. And I'm building in all the specific growing features of whatever I'm growing. And it's not complete, this book's on the go, but I did complete one for, voila, watermelon. So I'm going to be using this in order to make sure that I grow the watermelon to its best conditions. So I'm not going to read through this thing. I'm going to cover off a few tidbits, but essentially I took the time to research thoroughly what are the best tips for growing watermelon, and I'll give you those top ones that I've found so far, and we're going to use them. First tidbit is about the soil temperature. So watermelon prefers a soil temperature of 65. So for me, this tells me if I'm going to start it now, which I'm starting it a tad early, I'm going to have to keep it in the greenhouse for some time because we still have the risk of frost right up until I think about the end of March, but after that it'd be safe to plant outside. So I'm going to probably have to up-pot it maybe even 2 times in order to achieve the right, or keep it in the right soil temp. So the next tidbit is that I want to avoid clay soils, and this is a mistake I've actually been making with watermelon quite a few times that I've planted here. So this guy is going to go in one of it'll either be one of the mineral bins or it's going to go in some of our new pool gardens. In those pool gardens, I've got a better soil than the ground soil. Not that the ground soil in our no-till garden isn't good, it's actually quite good, but there's still a point, they're still being built, so there's still points then that you eventually hit kind of a clay soil. Now the watermelon prefers to be grown a lot like a tomato, so quite a bit of nitrogen up front and then switching over to a tomato style fertilizer where you have the reduced nitrogen a little later on. So I'm going to use this Agrothrive, and it's new to me. So this Agrothrive organic fertilizer, and I'm going to use that on this guy. This guy is supposed to, we'll see if it works really well. It's my first time using it, but it's supposed to be very good for the root system. I have pictures that highlight, you know, root systems with and without, and it shows that there's kind of an outstanding improvement on the root system with this particular fertilizer. So we're going to test it out. I'll do a video on that. We'll see how it does. I'm going to actually test it against some seaweed style fertilizers plus some just regular fertilizers, and we're going to see. So we're going to get started with these guys. These are my seeds. I will be planting multiples, like this won't be the only one I plant, but this is the only one, this cup here, and I'll put a little piece of tape on it. that highlights that this is the plant. This is our baby plant. I will plant 2 seeds in one though, and then we'll take out one of them to just be down to 1 because germination rate on a saved seed may not be perfect. But let's select 2 nice looking seeds. I think that looks good. I've pre-moistened the pot to prevent floating, and I'm dropping it in, covering. All right, that's it. Our plant has been started. And we're actually going to name the plant Norm. So we're going to check in on Norm on a regular basis to see how he's doing. Assuming he's a he, who knows, it could be a she. I'm not that good of a botanist to know for sure, but ideally it is probably both. That's why it produces both male and female flowers, right? So anyways, he will identify as Norm, and we will give you an update as we go along, guys. Awesome. Well, be friendly, be kind.